Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anfield Index for another episode of the Daily Red podcast. My name's Lewis. I'm filling in today for Dave, who's currently having some technical issues on his end, but we're still going to be discussing everything Anfield Index. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. You get all the latest updates and news about Liverpool, opinion pieces on the Substack. We'll go through all that shortly. But yeah, make sure to click like and subscribe. And if you want to see more, then head over to the main website, AnfieldIndex.com. There's breaking articles on there every day. There's plenty of pieces going on about Manchester City at the moment, because obviously we play them this Sunday. Huge title-defining game. And it's a title-defining match that doesn't really involve us, if we're being completely honest. Also, head over to the Substack. It was always Liverpool.com. You'll get loads of written articles over there and opinion pieces by the likes of Jan Morby, Dr. Bartz, Greg and Ben. I've got plenty of stuff going on over there as well. And AnfieldIndex.com, you'll get all the podcasts. But today we are going to get straight into it because someone's comment here, take the 60 million, 70 million and get a CDM, which is, of course, referring to Alexis Mac Allister. Now, obviously, this season, Mac Allister's had a bit of an up and down spell of things. He's not been looking too great. The past few matches, he's definitely improved, but there's a lot of discourse, a lot of turmoil surrounding Mac Allister. Obviously, he had those comments a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, maybe even now, that he was talking about Liverpool. He was saying that things aren't quite right. There's been a lot of changes behind the scenes, a lot of changes going on with regards to the recruitment, the behind the scenes turmoil, so to speak, his opinion. And it came out by his father, Carlos Mac Allister. You know, obviously his dad, as I've just said. There were reports linking some with Real Madrid and positive signals about a possible move. And in his words, Alexis is fully focused on Liverpool and the current season. He's very happy and very comfortable at the club, which should be great. You know, Mac Allister sticking around by all accounts there. He's saying, you know, he's focused on the current season. But the big thing there is he's focused on the current season. He's not focused too much on the future, so to speak. He's comfortable at Liverpool. He's very happy. But talking about how he's just here for the current season, how he's focused on this. Mac Allister this season has been a very divisive figure, I think it's safe to say, with regards to his time around Liverpool. Like last season, underrated midfielder amongst rival fan bases. Our best midfielder last season, I think, not by a mile. Obviously, Mac Allister was there. Obviously, Gravenberch was there even. But for me, Alexis Mac Allister was superb in that more sort of... He operated in a pivot at points alongside Gravenberch, but going forward, he was great in that attacking midfield role. His passing range was superb. He got stuck in. He scored some brilliant goals. The goal at Goodison Park is the one that sticks out to me the most for some reason. I love that game so much, even if it was a draw. But yeah, he was fantastic last season, Alexis Mac Allister, coming off of a World Cup win, making the move to Liverpool. And it felt like we finally got the peak of him. But the issue, of course, injuries hampered him. He looked fatigued. They got to the point at the end of last season where Slot said himself, look, I have to rest him. I can't keep playing him. He's ran down. And he played virtually every match that he was fit for. And you know, this season, it's been a very stark contrast. We're talking about Alexis Mac Allister, who is one of the best on-the-ball midfielders, one of the most tactical players in the Premier League, someone who, you know, despite his frame, despite his so-called physical limitations, he gets stuck into every duel, every confrontation, every fight. He's got that bite and grit about him that we love in a Liverpool midfielder. But this season, there have been real struggles for Mac Allister, you know, in terms of his overall passing range. 763 successful passes, which for a Liverpool team that want to dominate the ball, who dictate possession, have the highest possession stats in the Premier League on, I believe, 61.8%. We're the only team to branch into the 60% bracket. That successful passing of 763 is only in the top 19% of Premier League midfielders. That's his highest stat in terms of his passing range. Chances created, he's only in the top 26%, creating 16 substantial chances this season. You know, there's a clear decline in his passing range. His dribbling, he's in the bottom 41% for his successful dribbles. His duels won, he's in the bottom 46%. His duel won percentage is only 44.2%. He's in the bottom 15% of Premier League midfielders for this statistic. Compared to last season, where it felt like he was winning every duel, every challenge, there's a clear, noticeable decline in quality from him. But Does that mean we should be so quick to get rid of him? Does that mean that we should be going right straight away, off you go? Or do we give him the benefit of the doubt? We've seen big players in the past go through these dips in forms, dips in confidence, and sometimes they come back up good, sometimes they don't. Is Mac Allister someone who we should be looking to offload, especially with all the Curtis Jones discussion? Which, if you want to hear more about Slot's discussion regarding Curtis Jones and his thoughts on the press conference build up to the Man City game, tune back in at 6 p.m. That's where the presser is going to be discussed, and there'll be a lot more detail surrounding that aspect of it, of course. So make sure you click like and subscribe, notification bell, 6 o'clock later on, you can see that. There is comments coming in about Mac Allister. We could get a decent fee for him. It makes sense for the player and the club, in my opinion. If we invest the money into a needle-moving CDM, Wharton, Anderson, or Camavinga, it would be a huge benefit. You are right about in terms of the fee, but the problem is next season, I think his contract expires in 2027, the same time as Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. So that fee is going to decrease. This summer would be the biggest amount we could get for him. Unless there's someone lined up. I know Adam Wharton's a name that keeps getting passed, like touted around. I'd be absolutely fine with that. There needs to be a contingency in place. Jones, no guarantee he's sticking around because of all the links to Inter Milan and things like that. So Szoboszlai, there's discussion of his contract being extended maybe, but he said himself, it's out of my hands. I think we need to bring in people before we can look to sell in this instance. Mac Allister, we get a decent fee for him. Of course, if he was to go to a Real Madrid, he does feel like someone who'd be suited to take to Real Madrid, I think. But yeah, how much are we thinking we would get for Alexis Mac Allister? If he wants to move, then we need to make money off of it. Wharton seems the best replacement option, even though they aren't exactly like for like. They aren't exactly like for like. And I think that's the big thing. Mac Allister is someone who... he works well with space around him. He's someone who, the less pressure I think he's got on him, the better. He can get stuck into confrontations and duels. His defensive stats this season aren't awful by his standard, but he still ranks in the bottom 50% of Premier League midfielders for tackles, interceptions. He just about scrapes into the top 50% for recoveries and possession won in the final third. He's a presser. He's someone who's good off the ball. He's someone who's great when there's not a lot of pressure around him. Adam Wharton, for me, feels very much like a sort of, no matter how many players are closing in on him, he can pick a pass. He controls play. He likes to maintain possession of the ball, dictate the tempo of the game. And I think that's what we need more under Slot. Mac Allister last season thrived because we didn't change too much from what Klopp was doing. You know, Slot discussed that himself. He said energy is important. This season, we tapered down the energy levels and the aggression, and it bounced back and it bit us in the arse. So now we need to up those levels again. Mac Allister has struggled in that regard this season. And I'll actually get the stats up on the screen for you, Alexis Mac Allister, just to sort of emphasize this. Like we see here, you know, his passing range, not the worst. You know, 1.09 expected assists per 90 at the moment. Great, top 40%. His successful passes, the top 20%. His successful passes, though, you know, barely break into the 65th percentile. Chances created, not awful, but it is these areas. It's his successful dribbles, his successful dribble percentage, his duels won, percentage, his aerial duels won, which you don't expect much of him, of course. His touches and touches in the opposition box. Okay, great. But he's also in the top 10% for being dispossessed. He just looks slow on the ball this season. Maybe it's due to fitness. Maybe it's due to all the changes. Who knows? Mac Allister has been, like, he's been bounced around to attacking midfield, deep line midfielder, in a double pivot, in a single pivot. It just feels as though we've tried a multitude of different ways to try and get the best of him. But if someone is ran down, if someone has fitness problems, if someone is fatigued, if someone is constantly getting injured, no system change is going to suddenly get the best out of them. Is Mac Allister shot? No. He's had some good matches actually recently. Arsenal, I thought he looked great. You know, Karabag, of course. Newcastle, yeah. But he still just looks slow and off it at the moment. And there's a comment here saying, fairly certain that Macca struggles are due to the hernia surgery and the fact that we seem him incapable of getting players up to match fitness during the season, which is going to have a big impact. But the only argument to that is Gravenberch, massive improvement in recent weeks. Curtis Jones, consistent all season. Dominic Szoboszlai, out of this world at points this season and has maintained a high level. Mac Allister has not reached that level. I'd say Mac Allister's best this season it catches Szoboszlai's average, I think, at the moment. And he's had the occasional game every now and then, but I just don't see him getting back to that top form at the moment. I don't think he suits the way that Slot's playing now this season. I don't think he's comfortable trying to control the ball. He's better as someone who's quick passing, direct, getting forward, trying to find someone in the final third. Is that what we need necessarily in this system? I don't know. The way we use wide players, trying to stretch play. I just think the likes of Szoboszlai, Wirtz, Gravenberch, they just seem more suited to it. Contract expires June 2028, not 2027. 2 years, and he's not worth more money. Sell him. I think there seems to be an overall people just saying, look, move Macca on. Now, another comment says, I'd have Jones ahead of him in the pecking order and sign Wharton. I love Curtis Jones. I like what he brings to the team. I think he's a stable player who he doesn't dip below a certain level. Yes, people will say his 2-yard passing, his backwards passing, it's boring. Jones is one of our best creative players. He's just told not to play that way. The ball, if we have a long ball going to the wide players, it tends to be from Van Dijk. Jones is not the player to do it, but he can do it. Mac Allister this season, we just haven't seen enough of it, and it's felt as though he's a passenger at points. There was a period of time where I think he should have just stayed on the bench and came on, and he did, had 1 or 2 good games. As soon as he started playing again, like in the starting 11, he just dipped. So maybe, is it the time to sell Mac Allister? Who knows? But going back to what his dad said, the overall article is essentially his dad coming out and discussing Mac Allister's future on Real Madrid. I will cast that to the screen for everyone now to be able to see. There we go. So Alexis Mac Allister's father responds, Carlos Mac Allister, this is translated, so just, it might change. Asked if they'd shown positive signs about a move to Real Madrid, Carlos told, what I can say at the moment is that Alexis is focused on Liverpool and the current season. Alexis is very happy and very comfortable with Liverpool. Mac Allister, 27 years old, and had an estimated market value of 85 million euros, and he joined Liverpool in the summer of 2023. We all know that one. He has made 34 appearances for Liverpool this season, scoring 3 goals and providing 4 assists, and has won the Premier League and Charity Shield Cup. That's obviously from last season. It's worth mentioning that Real Madrid signed Englishman Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool last summer, and he's also been linked with the signing of French defender Ibrahima Konate, whose contract with the Reds expires at the end of the current season. So yeah, he doesn't really go into too much. He just says he's comfortable in the current season. He's happy where he is at the minute. He's not too worried. I think it does feel very much like a sort of, just say this and we'll deal with it at the end of the season. I think there will be discussions. Real Madrid are definitely going to be looking at getting in reinforcements in midfield this summer. Mac Allister does maybe seem like someone who'd suit Real Madrid's style, but I'd have to look into that a bit more with all the transition going on, and there's going to be a new manager coming in. Jones is literally one of the more progressive mids this season, most progressive passes, and generates more. I want to say it's XG. I assume it's XG, but it's XT per 90 than anyone else, if I recall correctly. Yes, Jones is statistically one of the best midfielders in the league this season. I will get a stat up now for you to sort of counteract, but they're different styles of players. Jones is someone who he's relied in a deeper role, I think, and that gives him more dictating to play, where Mac Allister has been pushed further forward. Yeah, Curtis Jones' expected assists is in the top 13%, successful passes, top 17%. His overall pass percentage is 92, which puts him in the top 4% of Premier League midfielders. Accurate long balls, he's on 32, as opposed to Alexis Mac Allister, who, for his accurate long balls, has recorded 28. So there's only a 4 difference, but it's still 4 more, considering that Jones is not relied upon to play that style. Says a lot. Accurate long balls, top 18%. Chances created, 16, compared to Alexis Mac Allister, who's created 16 also. Big chances created, 3 from Curtis Jones. Big chances created, 2 from Mac Allister. In terms of a passing and creative range, Jones has been better, and I think he deserves more game time than Mac Allister this season. Sorry, expected threat. Sorry, that's my fault for being slow there. Basically, moving the ball forward into dangerous areas. Trent was top of the league in this metric alongside De Bruyne. Yes, because Jones is a box-to-box player, but he can drop into the back 4 if you need him to. He can cover left back when Kerkez goes forward. He's a more controlling player in midfield. Mac Allister is better when there's no one around him and he's got space to run into, and he can pick the occasional incisive ball. That's what we saw so much last season. He's a player who gets stuck in. He's energy. He's a presser. But if you can't do that, it just doesn't look like there's a lot to him. A defensive CM will allow Gravenberch more freedom. I think Gravenberch, for me personally, I don't like seeing him venture forward. I think if you do bring in a number 6, like an out-and-out number 6, or someone who's a bit better in a deeper role, maybe a Wharton, so to speak, or an Anderson, whoever you want to go for, I think that would allow Gravenberch that bit more freedom, like you say, further forward. But he's better when he's on the half turn and he's running into space. The further forward he's pushed against these deep back lines that we seem to be playing at the moment that, just won't seem to go away, I think he struggles that little bit more. I prefer him when he's deeper and he turns on the half turn, gets past the first attacker, and he's got midfield in front of him to run into, or a ball out wide that he can pick. I just think he's better in that situation, more so than someone who's higher up the pitch trying to create or produce goals. Or I know he can do it. He did it against Atletico Madrid. He did it against Newcastle. But I just think we've seen the best of Gravenberch when he's planted further back. Mac Allister, he's been played in a myriad of different roles, as I've already touched on before. Is it the time to sell Mac Allister this summer? If you said to me, who would you rather keep between Curtis Jones and Alexis Mac Allister, I am personally saying Curtis Jones. I think there's a few different reasons. I think you'll get more money for Mac Allister. World Cup winner, 27. Someone like a Real Madrid is going to come in for him, whereas Jones, you'd probably get 30 million. I think Mac Allister's injury worries, Jones is someone who is not immune from knocks and niggles. We know that. But when he comes back, it doesn't feel like he misses too much of a beat, because he's not someone who's going to set the world on fire. He is a calm, composed figure who can slow the game down, help us control the matches, can play in a myriad of different positions, whereas Mac Allister needs to play in a specific position to get the best out of him. And Mac Allister is someone who commented a few weeks ago to the media, addressing everything out in the open. I didn't like it personally. If that's how you feel, fine. Maybe we need to hear it. Maybe we don't. For me, I don't personally need to hear it. Jones is someone who understands what it means to play for this club. And I think you've got a more sort of... I prefer the story. I know it sounds daft and that's naive and that's not that shouldn't come into it, but I prefer seeing a Curtis Jones play for us than I do an Alexis Mac Allister because of that fact. He's Scouser, he's born and bred, he's one of us, he's someone who understands what it means to play for Liverpool. Mac Allister's brilliant. Do not get me wrong. This season is just a one-off perhaps, but there were noticeable declines last season. He was shot by the end of the campaign. We all saw that. 2 assists in the Premier League this season, 0 goals. His XG is 2.09, so he's underperforming that by 2.09. Total shots per 90 minutes, 1.3. There's a struggle there. His ground duels won, only 45%, 2.2 per match. His aerial duels won, 0.4. Possession lost 7.9 times a match. Is it going to get better? I don't know. I'm not seeing any signs that it is for Mac Allister. And I think if you bring in an Adam Wharton who, the attacking players we've got and the attacking players that are getting linked with us, like Yan Diomande and Anil Haji Musa and, all these brilliant attackers and the attacking players we've got who want to stretch play, Adam Wharton can get that ball into them quick. He's someone who can move the ball fast from deep line position to forward, one touch, one ball through. I'm not seeing that from Mac Allister this season. And it is a one-off perhaps, but he needs to improve because it's not as though he's in a midfield competing alongside Jay Spearing and Joe Allen and Christian Pulisic. He's competing against the likes of Florian Wirtz, Ryan Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai, great midfielders. And at the moment, he's not showing much reason as to why he's going to improve or why he fits in this system. He's had injuries, of course, fatigue, absolutely. He keeps getting taken away with the Argentinian national team, even when he's not going to play, and they know that. Daft decision. But you'll get more money from Mac Allister in the summer. Jones understands the fabric of this club. I'm not saying Mac Allister doesn't, but he's a young lad, come through the youth systems. He adores this club, as we all know. He's willing to play pretty much anywhere you need him to in that sort of James Milner style role, as I've touched on in the past. Better progressive passing statistics, Better successful passing statistics, more ground duels won, bigger chances created. Yes, not as many goals and assists as Mac Allister, absolutely. But 2 of Mac Allister's goals came against Qarabag, who we should have scored more than the 5 we did against them. And Jones has been stable this season. Yes, people might say it's boring. People might say it's 2-yard passes, it's backwards passes, it's pointless. Mac Allister can't do that right. He has the occasional good game. As I say, Arsenal, Qarabag, brilliant against them. He had a few little spells earlier on in the season, but everyone else around him has ascended him at the minute. Comments coming out and critiquing the transfers and saying there's too much change and there's this and that, but I'll save it for myself. Now his dad's coming out and saying, oh, he's happy for this season. If he doesn't want to be here and he wants to go, and Madrid are going to come in and offer us a sizable chunk of change, especially considering that Adam Wharton's price seems to be plummeting given all the turmoil at Crystal Palace, I think it's a no-brainer to sell Mac Allister and look to bring in an Adam Wharton, someone who can help Liverpool progress from the back, someone who is able to control the ball. If we're talking about Adam Wharton and his overall stats just before we leave here, there we go. Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace this season. Expected assists, he's in the top 2% for expected assists. Accurate long balls, he's in the top 13%. Chances created is in the top 12% on 26. Big chances created, he's created 8. Top 6%. Top 11% for successful crosses. Tackles, top 12%. Interceptions, top 28. Recoveries, top 4. Possession won in the final third, top 8%. He is someone who is all around a brilliant, brilliant player. Mac Allister this season has not shown that. So for me, if Palace are going to come in and Palace are going to offer big money, it seems like a no-brainer for me that we remove him on and look to bring in an Adam Wharton. It seems like a red flag to It seems like a red flag to me that Jones wants to leave, even though he's getting some decent playing time. It is a red flag, and I don't see Jones sticking around. But if it was down to me, I'd be keeping him at all costs and maybe moving Mac Allister on for the money, bringing in someone else, as I just say. But it is a red flag. There is going to be concerns behind the scenes at the moment. The Jones stuff just doesn't seem to be going away. I know Slots touched on it earlier on, but if you want to hear more about that, it's in the 6 o'clock show here on Anfield Index YouTube channel. Make sure you click like and subscribe, and you can tune in for that. We should show the loyalty to Jones and stick with him. Yes, I would love to see him step up a little bit more in his performances, but I think with the right encouragement, he definitely will. I think he has stepped up. In terms of, yes, it's less exciting, but he's in a new role, and I think he's matured. I think last summer, something changed in him. I think winning that league title, I think he's progressed. You look at him this season, we lose a game. Van Dijk obviously addresses the media. Curtis Jones, I have no doubt, will be second to go to them, go, I'll speak. He's not afraid to cut through the crap and say it how it is. He's incredibly passionate. He plays any position on the pitch you tell him to a good standard in a Dominic Szoboszlai style role. Some of the best passing statistics in the league this season. And he's someone who understands this club. And going into next summer where, let's face it, we're going to be losing just a few players, off the top of my head. Kanate may be leaving. Andrew Robertson, probably going to leave. Mo Salah, no guarantee he sticks around. Wataru Endo, doesn't get a lot of minutes, but he's an experienced midfielder, a leader in that team, I imagine, to a degree. Van Dijk's only going to have 1 year left on his contract, and at 35 years of age, you need leaders in this team. You need people who understand Liverpool and have been there and done that. Let's not forget, Jones has won the 2 Premier Leagues. He was involved in that 1920 squad. He's won trophies. He's done it. So for Jones, as a proof that, look, to these young lads who are in the academy who may not be getting the minutes that they deserve, to say to them, look, I'm here. I am here putting in performances, playing for a team that have just won the league last season. I'm a scouser. I'm someone who's come through what you've had to go through to get where I am. I think he deserves so much more loyalty. We don't know what's going on. Maybe he wants to leave for game time ahead of a World Cup seat, ahead of the World Cup in this summer. Maybe that is true. But I think if it comes down to Slot saying, look, you're going to get moved on, he needs to be doing what he can to keep him. Jones/Wharton pivot would be interesting. In terms of a passing statistics, yeah, be brilliant. Maybe it'd let Jones venture forward a bit more. Maybe he'd be higher up, because I think he's just as effective going up forward as he is sitting at the back ahead of Mac Allister. But who knows? But yeah, the main topic of today, keep or sell Mac Allister. If it's down to me in the summer, I would maybe be looking to move him on, but only if there is someone who's set to come in. I think if you can get a Wharton who just suits the way we play more, brilliant. If you can't, don't gamble it on the hopes that you bring someone in. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would you be happy selling Mac Allister? Would you be keeping him? What do you make of the comments from his father? That, once again, just to emphasize what has been said about Alexis Mac Allister by his father, Carlos Mac Allister. He has came out saying that the links of his son to Real Madrid, that Alexis is focused on Liverpool and the current season. Alexis is very happy and very comfortable with Liverpool. If Real Madrid are going to come in and start taking all of our players, I'll be raging. But if we can bring someone in like a Wharton, maybe an Anderson, I'll be absolutely content. But that is going to wrap up the show, guys. Make sure to click like and subscribe to Anfield Index here on YouTube. There'll be another show at 6 o'clock talking about the presser. Make sure you head over to AnfieldIndex.com. It's got all the breaking news, the articles. There's like 15 to 20 articles every day on there, essentially. So plenty of stuff. The Substack, itwasalwaysliverpool.com, is more sort of like opinion-based pieces, but you've got the likes of Liverpool legend Jan Molby, one of the greatest penalty takers in our history, superb player. He's got articles on there. Dr. Bart, some amazing statistical reviews on there. Fantastic. On AnfieldIndex.com, you've got all the podcasts and things like that. You can listen to me rather than having to look at my ugly mush. I need a shave. And if you go over to Anfield Index Pro, it's basically everything uncut with zero advertisements. And if you're not a big Liverpool fan, which I don't know why you'd be watching us, there is also football pieces as well. EPLindex.com and the Substack, itwasalwaysfootball.com. EPLindex.com, itwasalwaysfootball.com for all the latest, just general footballing news. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all